What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Vladis, and today in this specific video, I wanted to give you guys my take on this whole debacle, this whole situation that's been happening in the Ashes community. It's been a wild ride. If you haven't seen my actual stream, you probably don't know my take. You don't know my reaction to everything, or maybe you do know my reaction because that's all you basically got was visual cues. The reason why you got that is because when I was streaming that Sunday, I streamed before the whole Asmund interviews. I was about to end my stream until someone in chat said, hey, there is some narc drama happening in Asmund's live stream. Big drama right now at narc and Asmund's channel. Is Asmund streaming right now?
You need to add me as a friend on Discord. What the fuck? I haven't? Okay, all right, give me a minute. Let me do that. Sorry.
Wait. Narc? Oh, God.
Okay. I try to be fair. I know. This is very upsetting for some people to have their pitchforks out. But I do, in fact, try
and I was going to end stream.
And I try to listen to what people are saying. And I do try to be genuine and get an idea of what's going on.
Breaking news.
You are fair. I really try to be fair. I try to see other people's points of view. That's all. Am I crazy? I don't think so. Yo, what's up, man?
Yo, Asmund, hello.
How you doing?
I clicked on Asmund's live stream, and that's when the whole incident occurred. We had all of the interviews go back to back to back, from Narc to Steven to Pirate Software. It was absolute cinema. For those of you guys who don't follow me or don't watch me or don't, click on my live streams, but anytime when I watch something that is a live reaction, whether it's the Ashes of Creation live streams, I tend to not say anything because I don't want to talk over speakers, especially if we're getting information in real time. And that's why in these particular videos, you just see me as this creepy guy in the corner, apparently. With all that being said, let's get into the meat and potatoes. What did I think? So in the first interview, there was a lot of... Well, before I even get into that, I just want to give a shout out to Asmongold because I think he did such a great job conducting every single interview, but especially the one with Narc. I think a lot of people think he was just being this kind of paid staunch Ashes defender for no reason, and I don't think that's the case. I think many of us just believe that what Intrepid is doing is amazing. As MMO players, we've always wanted a company to do what they're doing. And I don't know if it's just the cynicism. I don't know if it's just the current negativity in the MMO space. I really don't know what it is. Personally, think it's just the reality that this game is still many years away, and that kind of pisses off people. I think that's just my own personal take. Regardless of what it is, I think Asmongold believes that this project is legitimate. I believe so too. I don't think this game is a scam at all. If you want to know what a real scam is, go watch Kira TV's video on Chronicles of Valyria. That'll show you what an actual scam is. Or maybe you got scammed trying to buy the day before on Steam before they ended up refunding everyone else. That is a scam. Scams tend not to last for very long because they can only last as long as they can bait you in. Ashes has literally been in this community or been in the MMO space for 8 years. 8 years. And again, it's something people always want to compare Star Citizen as a scam. I personally don't think Star Citizen is a scam either. I just think that the amount of scope proof they've added within the years has been utterly ridiculous. And I think Co-Carnage said it best, that is probably the most mismanaged, the most befundled project that we have, basically. But with all that, let's get into some of the talking points that Narc said in his interview with Asmongold. The first thing I want to talk about is, okay, why did he even go on Asmongold's channel? If anybody who's been watching Narc for any period of time, he's always been very hard stanced on, Asmongold's asked me many times to be on his podcast, and I don't want to go on there because I want to grow myself, or I want to, I don't need to go onto these big streamers and have their platform and yada, 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 yada. But yet you wanted to talk to Asmongold now. Why? Just kind of curious about that. And the second thing is that you've been the earpiece or the go-to person, as you would say, for Ashes people. And that is a true statement. And this is why I think many of them wanted you to have a conversation with Steven or wanted to have a conversation with Intrepid. But here we go. I think the reasoning why isn't because they've been begging you. I think you've been begging them and they've been declining. I think that's what's been happening behind the scenes. As much as you tout in your videos that, oh, I don't want to go, and do an Intrepid interview. I think you've been asking, but secretly they've just been saying no. And I think when Steven gave his answers to that in his interview with Asmongold, I think that was kind of clear.
Yes. yes, I'm super pissed about the fact that he went and made a video that was completely defamatory. But the reality of the matter is that we never engaged with Narc from a company's perspective as a content creator. Why? Because his brand was not the brand that we wanted to engage with about the game. Now, of course, that's a big conflict for us because he was creating content about the game, and some of those videos and content were great.
Yeah,
but some of them were not, and some of them did not match what we wanted our brand to be. And I got a lot of flack internally from my own marketing and community team when I would even talk and engage with Narc because they're saying, "Hey, man, like this guy is not a good dude." And I would say, "Okay, well,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, this is just
know,
marketing and PR people are always
100%.
they are so careful.
Regardless, a lot of the times you say things, and because no one can question you, it sounds like very, like a good idea to say, or, maybe you truly believe those things. But I just find it to be a little bit funny and, maybe just a tad bit hypocritical at the same time. But it doesn't stop there. So the desert doesn't exist. The trees don't exist. The reason why Steven says that, an uninformed content creator, that statement that really angered you, you can only be that uninformed when you're blatantly trying to destroy the credibility of not only Steven, but the credibility of this project by doing the video you did, right? And what's so funny is that you then double talk because you talk about this desert not being, not existing or whatever, but then you also say that you care for the developers, that you care about this game.
I just want to make something clear, right? I don't hate Ashes of Creation. I got no bad will, no. I don't. I don't. I might not like. I might not like Steven as a person, but I got no bad will against Ashes of Creation or their team or anything. I wish the game the best, right? I want the game to succeed. I just don't agree with the current state of things and how it's been advertised, right?
If you care about this game, then why did you make the video in such a negative light? If you truly thought that this was all about miscommunication, you would have directed the video and that would have been the majority of the talking points. But the talking points were very emotionally manipulating in the way that if I was a non-Ashes person, I would think this desert that you're showing truly doesn't exist because all I see is just sand and dunes. Like, that's the playable area? That looks terrible. But any person who is playing Ashes of Creation knows that's not the truth. I think, again, it was very disingenuous and it was very like a scummy thing to do, in my opinion. And I think the people that have watched you, Narc, and the people that have championed you, I think some of them were just, whatever you say, they're just going to blindly believe. But I think others were just very disappointed by that. I think there is a lot of people that did watch you that, do like your, witty sarcasm and your quips and everything like that. But then when you go too far, I think that's where a lot of people draw the line, and people have drawn the line before. And I think this goes on to another bigger point as to what Steven said in his interview, that the reason why he thinks that you're doing all this is to get views, to get subs, to get attention. And I kind of agree with that. I do. And the reason why is because I'm a YouTuber trying to grow on this platform. I'm a person who's trying to grow my Twitch community and everything like that. The way that you've been doing this particular video and how you've been showcasing it, it seems to me that you wanted to burn the bridge as bright as possible. And I think that's also biting you in the butt, because now people are unsubscribing from you. If you go to Social Blade, you'll see the kind of ups and downs of people that are, subbing to your channel because of this whole thing and also unsubbing you at the same time. This happened before in your channel, and I know you know what video I'm talking about. And the other thing is, you mentioned too that Intrepid during the desert live stream 2 years ago, that they were very clear and that they were very like showing people that this was the current state. Not at all. Let's watch that again.
What we're going to see first here is a very brief preview, a sneak peek at the desert zones in Alpha 2. And, we don't want to obviously give away all the secrets and show, everything that is intended there for Alpha 2, but you will likely see some interesting buildings that might be indicative of some points of interest, of some dungeons. You might see a little glimpse at a raid boss that lives in the desert. It's really kind of, Tristan Snodgrass, our lead environment artist, did an outstanding job putting together this little video showing you guys what the environment team and the tech art teams have been working on and building as part of the Alpha 2 world.
So by what you just heard, now you know that this was a very sneak peek, a preview of what the desert biome is going to be. This wasn't finished then, and it still isn't finished now. And you wanted to mention, oh yeah, remember guys, this is 2 years ago. And that's what kind of a quote that you said during the interview. I'm sure that, you know, with Intrepid doing what they're doing, they know that they're behind, but they're also ahead. And the reason why I say that is because in game dev, you can finish an entire biome, but because of all of the things that they want to test in there, yes, you can put an entire biome and that's all beautiful or whatever. But then when you start putting stuff on top of it, once you start putting more systems that are more cross-pollinated and everything like that, especially with how complicated asset creation is in general, I think the way that Intrepid has been doing what they've been doing is very strategic in a way that is meant for testing, not in a way to play a game. And I think you've kind of forgotten that this is a test, you know, and you keep saying like, oh, this is an alpha jokingly, but it is. For any of us that are out here testing and giving bug reports and everything like that, we know the level of communication that Intrepid has been giving has been very consistent, has been daily almost. And the only thing that I can agree with, and I've said this before, is that launching phase 2 on the 20th of December was the biggest mistake. Absolutely. The biggest mistake Intrepid could have done. They should have delayed it till probably the 6th to launch phase 2, start completely from scratch when the team comes back. That way, if there's any issues or exploits or just anything that happens, they could have been there to rectify it and, you know, quickly fix it. The next talking point that you give is the freeholds. And for me, I agree with Asmongold on this because of how cross-pollinated and cross-system this game is. There are certain things, and I think Steven, and I'll put it on the screen if I can find it, it was on Reddit, where Steven explained why the freeholds aren't out in the way that what was previewed. And the reason why is because, again, there are other systems that are currently offline that if they did add everything that was shown in the preview, it still wouldn't work because those things need to talk to other things that are also offline. And again, that's the major problem with a lot of the systems in Ashes, is the fact that they're just very interconnected. But I think that's also a good thing. That's the reasoning why we're so attracted to this game, because there is a lot of the cross-pollination between systems. Everything isn't just a standalone system that works on its own by itself. That's not how any of these systems work. And because you're not an uninformed content creator, you know this. You know this probably better than I do. I think the whole freehold argument is kind of moot. And again, with the desert thing and the freehold thing, why are you willing to die on the hill of, first of all, people paying $120 or $110, which again, you have paid no money at all. And for you being an advocate for others is kind of weird. But okay, since you want to be an advocate and say like, oh, well, you're scamming people out of this money. No. Because again, there's a lot of the systems that are currently on in the game that are a one-to-one correlation, and you know this. The Tower of Carfin, every single archetype that we've seen, the majority of the Riverlands, everything we've seen is a literal direct one-to-one correlation as to what we saw in those archetype previews is what we're actually playing with in the game. Why are you willing to die up on two systems? That makes no sense to me. I think the reasoning why is because you're getting burnt out, and I think you also feel the amount of time of being in this community has no growth for you. You've been at 60,000 subs for months. You don't want to continue making content because you want to grow not only your YouTube, but you want to grow your Twitch. And so you needed some kind of a scapegoat or an excuse to leave. And you did it in the worst possible way. And because you're doing this worst possible way and how big of a bridge you burned, and then you're going to come back later?
Ultimately, the game is just going to speak for itself over the next few years.
It will.
I'm just stepping away.
Like, I think you did everything in the worst fashion possible. That also leads into the next thing when you talk about I can't in good conscience continue making AOC content. It goes against my ethics.
Therefore, I decided, do you know what? Ethically, I can't continue doing this. I can't continue because I feel like I'm lying.
Ethically?
I don't want to lie.
Oh my
Okay.
God. So if you come back, is it not still against your ethics? Are the FOMO practices and everything like that still not against your ethics? So by saying that you couldn't, because your whole statement in that was the monetary practices, clearly it doesn't go against your ethics, because it wouldn't matter if they added more content or you waited till the next phase, or even if they added 5 other major systems. In good conscience, you can't come back. because this game monetarily, with the referral system, with the FOMO practices, goes against your ethics. I didn't say that. You did. I think, again, like, there are just so many things that if you go and watch the Narc interview with Asmon, it was a lot of double talk. I think Asmon pushed a certain direction that Narc couldn't really fight against. And there was many times where, you know, Asmon would ask him, like, have you ever done code before? And he was like, no. And I've never done code before either, which is why I don't talk as a developer. This is why I don't talk with any kind of an authority on what it takes to develop a video game. But even though I've talked to developers, I understand slightly to the kind of challenges and hurdles that could face them on a daily basis. So when I talk to the small community that I have, I can inform them in the best way I know possible, but not in a way that's like definitive and this is how it is, because I don't know how it is. I'm not at Intrepid. I don't work for Intrepid, and I am not a game developer. There's just, again, there were just so many very disingenuous things that I think you mentioned. And ultimately, I don't see how you can come back, because the game goes against your ethics, dude. But ultimately, I think this was kind of sad. As much as me and you don't agree on many things, I think you as a content creator, when you do talk positively and when you do talk in a way that is critical but respectful, which you have done in the past. I'm not saying for you to be some white knight and just agree with whatever Intrepid is doing, but there's a way you can disagree that still honors like an ethical code. And I think the way you've done stuff has been very unethical. And so I don't know, man, from what they say, you're 23 years old. I don't know how old you are, but if that is the truth, you still have a long way to go, man. Like, I'm about to be 40. Like, in my 20s, I was a complete degenerate. I had a lot of anger problems. I had anger issues, and I had to learn to work through them. And I would say my 20s was probably the most transformative time of my life. From when I was 20 to then when I turned 30, the most transformative. From 30 to 40, I would say I've been pretty consistent. I'm not saying I haven't evolved, but I would say the biggest evolution of my life was between that particular decade of time. So I don't know, man. I wish you well. I hope you do enjoy the stuff that you are doing as far as playing Dark Souls. But again, when you start cultivating a very negative community, man, and you start being happy, don't expect when your community then tries to troll you for being happy. That's it. Those are my thoughts on the whole situation. What did you think about all this stuff? This was a crazy, crazy thing. Ultimately, I think it was crazy. It was wild. It was a wild time, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.